Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas's divorce isn't getting any less messy. The two of them have been in the press a ton following the news that the two of them were splitting up, and the headlines have not stopped. More has come out about what's been going on, especially after their divorce case was seen in court on Wednesday. It's been a roller coaster ride for both parties involved. Joe filed for divorce at the beginning of September, and then last week in New York, Sophie sued Joe, claiming he violated an international child abduction law by refusing to hand over the passports for their kids so she could take them back to England. Sophie is claiming their kids, who have dual citizenship, have a life in England, and it's where her and Joe had previously agreed to raise their daughters. Sophie has been filming for a new show for the last couple of months, and so Joe has been on tour with the girls, and apparently their plan was that she was going to come back from filming, come get the girls, and then take them to England. But obviously with the divorce, plans have completely been switched around and it's become this giant mess. But the big thing is the children were apparently supposed to grow up in England. That is something that they had talked about and apparently had planned for. Sophie and her legal team, in trying to prove that Joe and her set England as the place to raise their girls, have now, through court documents, revealed that earlier this year, Joe wrote a letter to a homeowner in Oxford asking if they could purchase his home to raise their family. So this is kind of like the proof that Joe did at one point want their girls to permanently live in England. According to page 6, he wrote in this letter, "When my wife and I decided we were going to spend more time in the UK and search for a permanent home, our daughter expressed 3 unwavering requirements: having chickens, a pony, and a Wendy house. While many of the houses we viewed met this criteria, the moment we turned the corner and caught sight of the charming blue shutters adoring, we experienced a sense of magic unlike anything we had felt before." They also said Jonas also noted how he had envisioned himself living in England, writing, "I have been completely charmed by the idea of dropping my children to school on the boat and being able to spend a leisurely afternoon cruising to the pub with friends on my very own boat." And later said, "We could tell that your family have truly loved living here, and we can envision our children growing up here and making this our forever home." He added before concluding, "I really think Sophie and I will be able to look after and for many years pay homage to the magic you have created here." Now, like I said, because Sophie wants to take the girls back to England, she was claiming that Joe was refusing to hand over the girls' passports, and so that is why she ended up suing him, claiming he violated an international child abduction law, which Joe and his team think that is really extreme and have denied such claims of child abduction and called the term misleading in the situation, accusing Sophie of just wanting the divorce to play out in the UK instead of the US. Now, on Monday, the two did end up agreeing on the fact that for the time being, their 2 children would temporarily reside in New York. The 2 of them are to keep their kids in the southern and eastern districts of New York, which includes New York City, Long Island, and the Hudson Valley. And then on Wednesday, in court, a hearing took place in Miami, with the court deciding that it wouldn't make their final decision on parenting until the lawsuit Sophie filed in New York is settled, which will be the deciding factor as to whether or not their future will be battled out in Florida court or in the UK. They do have another court date in Miami set for December, and that will be in regards to Sophie filing to have their case dismissed. Now, there's also been some new information that's come out in the last couple days as their divorce has played out. At the time when Joe first filed, sources close to him were reportedly saying a lot about Sophie, which ended up getting Joe a lot of backlash because people didn't like how him and his team were characterizing her in the media, or at least how they weren't trying to come out and clarify the things that were being said about her in the media. One of the things said was that there was ring camera footage that Joe had seen that had reportedly been what made him realize their marriage was over and led him to filing for divorce. People had speculated what he had seen or heard following this information coming out. Sophie Turner ring camera was literally one of the trending Google searches for her when all of this was going on. But according to Us Weekly, they talked to multiple sources and wrote, the first source says the camera caught Turner saying some not so nice things about Jonas to a pal. It wasn't anything more than that, the source says. but that was the final straw. So it wasn't anything too scandalous like some people were theorizing, at least that's what this source is claiming, but certainly the information of, oh, there's ring camera footage that Joe saw and ultimately made him realize things were over, certainly causes people to speculate and talk about, ooh, what happened? What was she doing? What was said? Did she get caught doing something that was bad? It for sure played into the information that was coming out, trying to make her look like the bad guy in the whole divorce. The other thing that has come out in the news this week as a result of their divorce being so closely looked at and reported, and the fact that all these documents are public record, is that their second daughter's name has been revealed to the public. Up until now, the two of them have been extremely private with their daughters. The public only knew the name of their firstborn daughter, but their second, they've been able to keep really private. In court documents, she had only been referred to by her initials in an attempt to keep that privacy, but now the name has been written in full, and tons of news outlets reported it this week. I found it so interesting how this made headlines, and it's kind of why I wanted to talk about it, because I mean, I know people are really curious about baby-related content and celebrity children. As strange as it may be, there are people truly fascinated by it all, and I think it's no big deal if the parents themselves want to announce the name and make it a fun thing and make it a big deal themselves, but they didn't do all of that. You know, the name was just written in a court document and someone clocked it, and that's how everyone found out. And that to me is just weird that all these articles were coming out talking about Joe and Sophie baby name revealed. Like, what? Is that not like weird that we're making it a big deal and they're like not making it a big deal? I don't know. It just made me feel really weird. I was like, why are we so fascinated by a baby name? And I honestly wonder if their divorce had played out in the UK, if these documents would also be public or if things would be a little bit more private. I'm not totally sure, but someone who maybe knows, please comment and let me know. But what's also been a pretty big deal this week, that is certainly more of a normal and fun big deal, is that Sophie Turner has been hanging out with Taylor Swift a lot since she's been in New York City. The last I talked about her and Joe's divorce, I mentioned that Sophie had been spotted out with Taylor, and people were going nuts over it, living for the fact that two of Joe's exes were having some girl time, and they've had plenty more of it that the internet has gone wild for. The two of them have been spotted out several more times since, and Taylor had even let Sophie stay in one of her New York City apartments temporarily. Apparently, she had been staying in a hotel with their daughters prior to getting the keys to Taylor's place, and Page Six recently published an article that said, but now Page Six hears that Swift, 33, has even loaned Turner, 27, a stunning apartment in her own downtown New York City neighborhood that the actress and her children can live in while Turner and Jonas get their complex custody arrangements ironed out. Apparently, the Shake It Off songstress keeps a Tribeca pad as an investment property, but has handed the keys to the Game of Thrones star as a temporary home. Page Six spies say Turner has been spotted settling into the famously chic hood, checking out some of the local comfort food spots. She was recently seen packing up a car with suitcases and travel cribs, so I think she was only there for a short time while possibly looking for a rental that she could settle into while staying in New York while everything is going down in court. But I thought, how cute is that Taylor let her stay at one of her properties instead of having her in a hotel during all of this drama. Certainly more comfortable. Like, yeah, I'm sure she was at a grand hotel, but I mean, there's nothing like having like a home with like a kitchen and being able to like cook food and like, I don't know, it just seems like such a nice thing that she let her do that. And once this news hit the internet, of course, the two of them were getting tons of love as everyone is just living for their friendship. People on Twitter wrote, a girl's girl for real. Powerful women supporting powerful women. We love to see it. Acts of kindness like this remind us that celebrities are not just public figures, but also individuals who care about supporting each other in times of need. Taylor Swift's kindness and support for Sophie Turner's family in this situation truly shows what a great friend she is. That's class act by her. She's indeed a queen. Joe, however, is still getting roasted in his comment section, but shockingly, he's stayed pretty active on social media. Since him and Sophie posted their joint statement at the beginning of last month, he's continued to post photos and stories on Instagram. Sophie has stayed pretty offline, which is kind of normal for her as she doesn't really post too much, but Joe clearly isn't turned off by the comments that he's been getting and he's been continuing to get. But that's what's been going on with these two as of this week. Let me know if you guys have been seeing all of this unfold and what you think in the comments. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.